Hi, this is Craig, Logistics ATB. I want to give you a little market update on where we're at this week, this month, this quarter. It's been tough. The market is really bad right now. If you're out there running, you know that. In the spot market, it's cyclical. It's always been cyclical. The, actually, the contract market is too. It's different cycles. So what we're dealing with right now is we're nearing what I think is the bottom. I think it's hard to say, to be honest, but the rates were dropping off a cliff, and it seems to have slowed down the drop in rates, and we've reached a somewhat of a floor. Hopefully, it's a floor that'll hold. As we're going into what should be peak season, that is not going to exist this year, from the best of my understanding, from what I've looked at, and from what I'm hearing. There's just not a lot of indications. There's going to be obviously there's going to be a peak season. It's just not going to be a peak. So, there's still stuff that needs to move. There's still Christmas and holiday freight that has to be moved. Warehouses are pretty full. A lot of that freight was pulled forward because people were panicking about the supply chain problems that were a lot different than they are today. There were different supply chain problems than we're dealing with right now. I'm looking at chassis stacking up at the ports, empty containers sitting at the ports. There's blank sailings. Imports are dying off coming from China. It's a different world than we were in 6 months ago, that's for sure. It is survivable. Trucking is always cyclical. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. These guys, you see it all the time, these guys on Facebook and stuff saying, what's happened to the market? What's happening to freight? They didn't understand. They were company drivers, probably didn't realize what the ups and downs were of the market, because they weren't paid on the freight; they were paid on the mile. So it didn't really matter to them, what the rate was on the load. They never were told. So now that you're owning a truck and you're running a business, and you're finding out that the rates can vary this greatly, it's crazy. Keep your trucks where the freight is. Don't chase a rate from a good market, because there are still good markets. It's not as bad. It's not the worst I've ever seen. I've seen much worse than this. We're approaching that level, but we're not there yet. The Southeast is pretty tough right now. There is a overabundance of equipment in the Southeast. That's probably the best way to put it. There's still freight, but there are so many trucks chasing that freight that it makes it super tough, super competitive to get a hold of those loads. I have an auto dialer on my phone. If I got a truck in Atlanta, a dry van specifically in Atlanta, it's hard for me. A load will pop up, and we pay for the highest level in that. And so, everything automatically refreshes, and a load will pop up. I click on the phone number, and my phone dials instantly, and I still uh, usually can't be the first caller in. Somebody will beat me to the load, and it's that competitive. So you can get the load. The rates are bad because the brokers know they don't have to compete. And they got 10 guys on hold behind you. If you want to negotiate on the rate, they just go to the next guy who'll take it for what they've got it posted for. They're getting beat up too. Their brokers' clients are beating them up on rates. They're pushing really hard. It's normal. It's going to get worse probably early as we get past the end of the year, and these shipping executives are being called in front of the board of directors, saying, how are we going to get shipping costs under control? They better have an answer. They better already have a plan. That's why we're getting so much pushback now. But we will lose capacity as this happens, as it always happens in trucking. As the rates drop and people didn't have a plan, they didn't have any savings, and they didn't understand that the market was going to be cyclical. And maybe this time, we're humans. Everybody, everybody, they think that this is going to be the way it's going to be forever. And so when this hot bull, when the bull market ends and we're into a bear market, using stock terms, it always is going to change. It's always going to turn around. You're going to be fine if you survive this. You just got to tread water until the market turns. When will the market turn is the big question. I get asked it all the time. Everybody who knows anything about freight gets asked that all the time. Nobody knows. I think that what's traditionally the peak season here will help keep us afloat through the end of the year. As far as, I don't see a big peak, but there will be freight to move. Again, do some research, find out where your trucks need to be, get them in the right spot. If you have a new authority, there are lots of brokers that will work with you. I keep hearing it. I got a new client yesterday who came to us because his dispatcher was telling him he can't book loads because his authority's brand new. And his authority is like 3.5 weeks old. He's been sitting for over a week and a half, hasn't moved his truck. That's hogwash. I have a list, I have a database. We keep a database on brokers on what they need, what their requirements are. I know of over 100 brokers. I have a list that I'll send to you if you ask me for it, of over 100 brokers that will work with a brand new authority from day one. And some of those guys are real big, some of them are small, but there's a lot of freight out there. So let me know if you need help. Reach out. I'm going to update again. There's just so much going on right now. I'm going to probably try to end this here because I can go on forever. But reach out if you have any questions or problems. I'd be happy to help you. Best of luck. Have a good weekend. I got to go down and liquor up the girls in the dispatch because they've had a rough week, and probably get some gift cards for them for Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever the heck they want, and try to make sure they show up for work on Monday. Anyway, you guys take care. Have a good weekend.